is Suzette Moyers, and I'm a fourth year in psychological sciences, and my talk is titled Establishing Coherence and Sense of Coherence in Physical Activity. I have a riddle for you. Name something that you can't live without, but too much of it could kill you. Anyone? The answer is stress. High stress over time is related to many chronic diseases, such as heart disease, diabetes, and inflammatory disorders. And we need to understand ways to lessen the health impact of high levels of chronic stress. Research tells us that being physically active reduces how stressed we feel, as well as physiological measures of stress, such as blood pressure, heart rate, and the stress hormone cortisol. If we can understand exactly what physical activity is doing, psychologically and physiologically, to reduce measures of stress, then we can design interventions that will reliably produce changes in stress, which may help prevent later development of chronic disease. This is what I study. For this project, I used a well-studied theoretical model that predicts how stress affects health. Central to this model is a person's sense of coherence, which refers to how they use available resources to manage stress. One with a high sense of coherence is likely to successfully use resources to manage stress, while one with a lower sense of coherence may not be as successful, which could threaten long-term health. And I'm sure you're all hoping that you have a high sense of coherence right about now. Well, how high or low your sense of coherence is predicted by the resources you have access to manage stress. And one resource that may increase sense of coherence is physical activity participation. Now, this relationship is widely studied, but across literature, the findings were incoherent. Sometimes researchers found an effect, but sometimes they didn't. So I designed this study to create a coherent picture of the relationship between physical activity and sense of coherence. To do this, I used a technique called meta-analysis, or studying a vast amount of studies using a specific criteria which can show us the overall true effect of the relationship across literature, taking a consensus, if you will, which will help us design future studies more effectively. In the SHARP lab, my team and I did 3 things. We searched many scientific databases to find relevant published and unpublished studies that measured both sense of coherence and physical activity in all languages using a strict criteria. We found 1,767 studies. We narrowed that down to 52 studies that had the data that we needed. We extracted data from those studies and used statistics to determine the overall true effect, the relationship between physical activity and sense of coherence. So, we were able to establish coherence and sense of coherence in physical activity. Our research showed that there is a significant relationship between physical activity and sense of coherence across literature. And this tells researchers to continue to examine this relationship with more sophisticated research designs to see if physical activity could increase one's sense of coherence. And if it can, interventions aiming to reduce stress and prevent chronic disease through physical activity participation may consider first aiming to increase sense of coherence. Thank you.